Okay. Thanks everybody for coming out. Coach Canty starts off with some opening comments.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. You know, for those of you who know me, I've always prided myself in being direct and in being accountable. So with that, I'd like to just address this ominous cloud that seems to be hovering over our program. I woke up Sunday morning with a true conviction that there needed to be some clarity as it relates to the future of Ole Miss basketball moving forward. I've been blessed, truly blessed, to have had the opportunity to be a head coach in the Southeastern Conference in my home state for 12 years. That is a true blessing. This I know. I also know that it's time for a new voice and a new vision for this program moving forward. So with that said, at the end of this season, I'll be stepping down in my role as the head coach at Ole Miss. I have too much respect for this university. I have too much respect for the position of being a head coach in the SEC to allow any speculation about my job status to create a divisive distraction for this program and for the people who support it. I'm at complete peace with this decision. I truly am. And I appreciate Ross and the working relationship that we have, which allows us to talk candidly and frankly and come to the conclusion that now is the time to move the program forward. Ross.
Okay. Thanks, Coach. You guys didn't expect Andy to be that brief. He typically isn't. Thanks for being here today. I really appreciate Coach's comments, and you know, he doesn't have any notes. I've got notes. I need to make sure I get this message correct here. You know, today's news might be a little surprising, or the timing of it might be a little surprising, but it's also time that we celebrate Andy Kennedy's dedication and hard work for Ole Miss basketball. You know, as a Mississippian, he alluded to that. You know, when Ole Miss needed him, Coach Kennedy answered the call and came home and built this program into the one of the most respected basketball programs in the country and in the SEC. We've been a consistent performer under Coach Kennedy. This year, as Dean of the SEC coaches, Andy Kennedy always did it the right way. He was consistent. He worked extremely hard every single year. He maximized the resources when he first arrived, and then he helped force a vision to increase our resources. We have the best basketball practice facility in the country in the TUI Center. The pavilion at Ole Miss is the best basketball arena in the entire country. He pushed that vision. He changed the mindset, changed the culture of Ole Miss basketball. This foundation will live on for a long time. So as our all-time winningest coach in Ole Miss history, we'll take the next few weeks, whether he likes it or not, and we're going to walk down memory lane. We're going to celebrate all that he has done for the program, and we're going to thank him for his 12 years of service. He deserves it. So how did we get to this point today? You know, when I first met Coach Kennedy, we actually had to iron out his contract back in April of 2012 in New Orleans at the Final Four. So we've always had a respectful, working, diligent, honest relationship with one another. The thing that I love about Andy, he's a realist. He is not afraid of expectations. He's not afraid of reality. The media, you guys know his favorite line, "You are what your numbers say you are." And so Andy and I have been on the same page. We've continued to communicate throughout. We had a great discussion in late December about the team, the program, what lies ahead. We both talked about and expected this team to make a run in SEC play and make a run towards postseason. Andy's teams are known for just that. So we continued to talk. We met again on Friday. We discussed the last few weeks of the season. And then he called me on Sunday and said that he was ready to step down at the end of the season. We both agreed it was best for the program. So we talked through details yesterday and last night. We decided that this was the right decision, and doing it today is actually the right time. So in the final analysis, Coach Kennedy feels that he needs a new platform, and I believe that our program needs a new voice, a leader who can build upon the foundation that is in place thanks to Andy's leadership. So Andy will coach our team. He'll lead our team the remainder of the season. We have 6 regular season SEC games left. We have a postseason tournament to play, and we hope we make a run. Everyone in the locker room, we just met with the team and the staff. They're gonna work hard. They're gonna stay focused. They're gonna lock in, and they're gonna finish this season strong. So as we conclude Andy's 12 years of service at the end of this season, we need to thank him. We appreciate the hard work and dedication that he has given. We want to thank his family. We want to wish them well in their future, and they will always be a part of our program. Thank you, Coach Kennedy.
Thank you.
Questions?
Andy, do you want to coach next season?
You know, I want to coach today, and I am going to coach today. Ross maybe put a jacket on. I understand that there has to be a semblance of formality to this, but my vision was a little different. You know, for us, I just want to try to get this team to play the way that I believe it's capable of. And again, I'm a man that walks by faith, and truly, I'm anxious to see what the next opportunity is, whether that be coaching or what have you. That's all I know. It's all I've been doing. This is my 27th year as an active participant in college basketball. 4 years as a coach, or as a player, I'm sorry. 10 years as an assistant coach, and now the 1 year at Cincinnati plus these 12. 13 as a head coach, 27 years, and it's only the second time in those 27 I've ever been a part of a losing program in February. So this is a little bit different for me as well, and I just feel like the time is right. I know it may be a little unorthodox, but I just feel like the time is right.
I guess some of the other issues, lack of resources, have been well documented in the program. What kind of advice would you give the next coach that comes in here?
Well, this landscape has completely changed, completely. From 2006, I always use this analogy with our team. I just did. Where were you in 2006? You know, most of those kids were, you know, in grade school, and that's when I took over this job. And so, a lot has changed, as Ross alluded to. Started with the practice facility, the TUI Center, and now, you know, it culminates with this magnificent facility that's been a great shot in the arm for the program moving forward. So I think the landscape has changed, and I think, honestly, the foundation is set, and it is ready to take that next step. I'm regretful that I couldn't get it there, but I'm also accountable for that, and I want to see it get there, and I think that it can.
Andy, you were enthusiastic about this team that had some problems in non-conference. So where do you think it went wrong, and did you sense at the end of non-conference that SEC play was going to be very difficult?
Well, we knew it was going to be difficult. I think, you know, sometimes I get it. You guys think, oh, it's just coach speak. Hopefully you hadn't gotten a lot of that from me. I try to avoid it. But the league is good. It's top to bottom. It's as good as it's been in my 12 years here, and I think the numbers are bearing that out. I knew that we had some issues, but we always have issues. Every team has challenges, and this team was no different. I didn't foresee some of the things that have transpired. And again, I'm accountable for that. That's my responsibility. I hadn't been able to reach this team like I would have hoped. And again, that's my responsibility. So I said this, you know, Paris, you've been with me every step of the way, and I try not to be frustrated. I think frustration is such a wasted emotion. I try not to be that, but we're constantly trying to figure out how can we get this group to play. Saturday, this really kind of dawned on me. You know, I spoke obviously briefly at the beginning about this ominous cloud, and I didn't want the rest of the season to be about what's Andy Kennedy's status. Are you for him or are you against him? I didn't want to divide our fan base. I respect this too much for that. I didn't want people to have to choose a side. I want everybody to be on the same side, and that's moving the program forward. And so I also didn't want our guys in social media, they have to deal with this stuff. And I don't want that to be weighing them down. I hope this is liberating for them. I hope we can go out and play the way that we have shown capable and finish this right.
Coach, what was the message that you gave your players at that meeting earlier today?
You know, basically that we preach this daily. We preach awareness, we preach discipline, and we preach accountability. I'm going to model that for them now with this decision. I'm aware of what's happening in this program. I'm aware of where I am and what my role is moving forward. I want to be disciplined in the approach and not get caught up in unnecessary emotion that divides us. I want to unify us, and I want to be accountable. Ultimately, I'm accountable. I'm the head coach here, And everything that happens within this program is my responsibility. This season has not gone as well as we would have hoped, and I'm accountable for that.
Ross, have you made a decision on the signees, if they're gonna be released or not?
No. Coach and the coaching staff have been in touch with them already today. I'll have a chance to communicate with them at some point in time. The hope would be that we hire a new head coach. That new head coach will talk to those signees, and they'll talk about what's best for the program and for those young men.
The one positive of doing it the way we're doing it, we have time. You know, there's still time. It doesn't have to be a decision that's made tomorrow.
Ross, when will that process begin? I know this is just 24 hours old.
Right. You know, it's new. Obviously, Coach called me yesterday and said he wanted to do this today, and I said, hey, let's wait. We have a game on Tuesday night. Let's wait a few days. But, you know, the more I reflected on it, let's do it today. Let's lift the lid, and like he said, liberate, you know, the team and the program. So we'll start that process. You know, we'll put some thoughts together starting tomorrow, as Coach said, and give him credit. This allows us to start a process and not have to worry about disrespecting him or the profession. Like, we can now start. So we'll put a plan together starting tomorrow. We'll be aggressive in that plan, and we'll go out and hire the best coach.
And you mentioned on Sunday you woke up with a sense of conviction. Was there any feeling or thoughts before that, or did it all just kind of hit you on Sunday?
Well, as I was just saying, on Saturday, I go into the PMAC and, you know, John Brady, who I've known, Coach Brady, so he recruited me out of high school way back when. And John now is back as the color guy, I guess, on their radio. And so I had a chance to visit with John, and, you know, he and I literally go back to the early 80s. And, you know, the first question out of his mouth is, hey, man, you all right? You know, what's going on? What's going on? And he just kind of set the tone. I'm like, yeah, there's this cloud that's hanging out here. I then talk to, you know, our TV partners who are doing the game, and we talk about the game, but then we also want to talk, I don't want it to be about me and our status. That's not fair to these guys. And so I just wanted to get ahead of it. You know, we can all read the writing on the wall, and I just want to be, again, clear, distinct. Let's get out of the shadows. Let's own where we are, and so that our guys can be liberated and play the way that I hope they're capable.
Will you ask for, or include Andy, want his input in the hire?
You know, Andy's a resource in college basketball. He's well respected, and so, yeah, I think based on our relationship, I think we'll have a dialogue about, hey, what does the program need? What will it take? Who are the right people that are out there? But now it's about, hey, we want to win the last 6 games. We want to finish strong. Let's focus on that. And there'll be a time and a
Chuck,
place
are you
to
interested?
talk
You
about
want me
that.
to work for you?
I heard you could.
You'd have to take that hat off to play. They don't let you play with hats.
Too much pressure for me, Chuck.
Yeah, me too.
Andy, I know it's early, but, you know, Ross alluded to your personality, media and all that. Would television work interest you?
You know, I'm not sure. I've got a face for radio. You know, I don't know. I'm not thinking about anything other than honestly trying to get our team ready to prepare for Arkansas. We've got opportunities. I will put my full focus on that because that is my responsibility to the guys on our team.
Ross, is there a buyout or buyout terms?
Yeah, we will honor the terms of his contract.
Coach, when the potential coach, if you have a talk with them and he asks what Ole Miss needs to do to get over the hump in hoops, what are you gonna tell him?
You know, my best advice would be recruit hard, evaluate well, surround yourself with good people. It's not a hard science, you know. I told our team, obviously it didn't resonate, but prior to the LSU game, and, you know, obviously we've been struggling, and this is not hard to figure this out. Hey, listen to your coaches, trust your teammates, do your job. And so the next coach he's got it set where he doesn't have a facility issue. He doesn't have the little brother SEC basketball syndrome. The network has been tremendous as it relates to exposure coast to coast. This job has never been better.
Any more questions?
Hey, Ross, is there, in terms of what would be looking for in the next coach, do you have any certain criteria, like maybe NBA ties, or does it have to be a college head coach, or, I mean, is there a certain list of criteria you're looking for?
The best coach, right? So that could fit a lot of different things. Obviously, recruiting is paramount. You know, coach, again, that foundation, we have a lot to sell. We do have resources. We have made a commitment. We're willing to do more to make that commitment as we move ahead. This is a great job. It's a destination job. And now that we have this building, we've got the TUI Center, we've got the SEC better than it's ever been. This is an attractive job in college basketball. So we'll go after the best coach, whoever that is. What their background is will be determined, but we're going to find the best coach.
Coach, as Ross said, you're a numbers guy, and the numbers don't lie that you've turned the program around in your 12 years here. What do you think your lasting legacy is after you leave here this season?
You know, I think there's time to, there'll be time to walk down memory lane. I'm not sure today is that time. I have been very, very fortunate to have had this opportunity. I've had a lot of great people that have helped, and this thing is like, this was pushing a rock up a hill for a long time. And now that is no longer the case. At least you have an opportunity, and there's been so many people that have helped us in that quest. You know, when people ask me, and I've been asked the question earlier today, you know, what do you attribute 12 years? You know, I think Will Wade was the 39th head coach that I faced, different head coach that I faced in the SEC. That's a pretty staggering number when you think about it. And they say, well, what do you attribute, you know, your ability to last 12 years at a place? And really, it's simple. I'm a simple guy. God's grace and hard work, and in that order.
Any more questions?
Ross, you mentioned being willing to invest more in this program. I think it's still one of, if not the least lowest head coach assistant salary pool in the SEC. How do you go about addressing that? What other areas do you think you need to invest in to make this a more attractive job?
Every donor who's watching, we're going to ask, right, for you to invest in the program. So that's obviously resources, money, finances are a part of it. We know that the salary pool needs to be increased. We know that the head coach salary, we're going to look at all that. What's the market tell us right now? We're going to look at all those things. And so money's a part of it, for sure, but also mentality. You know, we need our fans to continue to make this a home court atmosphere. You know, and last Tuesday night, that wasn't the case. And so we need to make this a consistent mentality approach that everyone's in this thing together. There's no more divide, and I give Andy credit for making this decision now to allow us to move forward. And so it goes to a lot of different things, not only money, but also mentality of how we treat basketball, and we're ready to embrace all that.
Is there an ideal timeline for?
You know, this gives us some clarity, right, and allows us to start a process. We know the landscape is always going to be changing. It's different, I think, this year with all the things happening in college basketball, so I think you have to be very, very careful in your search process. So whatever the timeline is to hire the best coach, that's what we'll stick to.